Did you know that Mrtka was one of two defensemen with at least 40 points and 200 hits last season? He had 46 points and 212 hits total. The only other D-man to get up into this territory was Mackenzie Weegar, who had scored 47 points and had 223 hits himself. My oh my, does that reveal a lot. And it makes sense since Seider and Mackenzie Weegar were both two of the top guys in my fantasy hockey league. But today, we are over onto NHL Fantasy's Twitter page, because I wanted to talk about some Detroit Red Wings stuff as well as some Edmonton Oilers stuff. Yeah, it's kind of nice to link these two teams together, considering the Kosa, Augustine, and Isaac Howard rumors that have been circulating the web the past little while. But I wanted to talk about goaltenders, I wanted to talk about John Gibson, I also wanted to talk about young guys, because Kasper was given a pretty big shout out here by the folks over at the NHL Fantasy and Edge social media. You can read more about this on the article, which we will dive into, but they list Kasper as a 2025-2026 breakout candidate. The article, which is linked here, is also going to be linked in the description. It is the NHL's fantasy hockey breakout candidates for 25-26 in total, and at the time of me recording this audio, right now, the most recent name that they've revealed has been Quinton Byfield of the LA Kings. The reason I say that is because this article, written and talked about since the beginning of August, will have a new update every single day. The very first day, they started out by talking about Lucas Dostal. On day 2, they talked about Mason Lohrei. Then they got Jack Quinn of the Sabres, Coronado of the Flames, and then if you go all the way down, you'll see here, Minnesota is projected for the 14th, Montreal the 15th, Nashville, and every other team up until the end, when the Winnipeg Jets get their breakout candidate listed on September 1st. But I wanted to talk about Detroit, and I wanted to talk about Edmonton, because for the Red Wings, Kasper is indeed listed here as the NHL breakout candidate, with Pete Jensen writing this. Kasper had strong line mates in center Dylan Larkin and winger Lucas Raymond as a rookie last season, and ranked tied for third amongst his class in even-strength goals, with 17. Kasper also provided strong category coverage of hits, 156, which was second on the Red Wings behind Mo Seider, and finished strong with a 4-game point streak with 5 points, 3 goals and 2 assists, and 19 shots on goal in the span. At 21 years old, Kasper joins Raymond and Mo Seider on NHL.com's top 100 keeper rankings, and could see expended power play usage, 4 power play points last season, in the years ahead. Per NHL Edge stats, Kasper also excelled in terms of 20-plus mile-per-hour speed bursts. He had 163, which was in the 88th percentile amongst forwards. This is why NHL Edge is so cool, because we get really random, useless stats like this that don't really give us any extra info that's relevant, but it's nice trivia, and it's something that when you know about it, it's easier to pay attention to it too. Kasper was in the top 12%, or I guess you could say, the top 12% of players in the 88th percentile of forwards with 20-plus mile-per-hour speed bursts. Like, that goes hand in hand with him getting the second most hits on the Red Wings and his forechecking ability. This guy's a dog, if you haven't already noticed. Kasper is so dangerous without the puck because he can just make opponents' lives difficult. And when you think about the points as well, I mean, Kasper, the most recent season, was very impressive with 37 points in 77 games played. He pretty much replicated his AHL point production from the year before into the National Hockey League. And sure, you can say that a lot of that has to do with the opportunity he was given. He was playing first-line wing. He was with Larkin and Raymond. But if he projects and he plays at the second-line center spot next season, having DeBrincat and Kane as your wingers wouldn't be so bad either. So Kasper, after showing off all that he did this previous year, 17 even-strength goals as well, which is a crazy number for a guy who's only turned 21 in April, This guy has a lot more to show heading into next season and beyond. I wouldn't even be surprised if Marco Kasper got 25 goals and let's say 55 points or something like that. I think that's relatively within the wheelhouse of what this guy's capable of doing. We just got to pay attention to the sophomore slump. Is that going to happen? Who knows? Let's go over onto the next name on the NHL's fantasy hockey breakout candidates for 25-26. It is none other than Edmonton Oilers forward Vasili Podkolzin. And you know, I have to take every opportunity to dive into Podkolzin to discuss this guy because he is my guy. Podkolzin, written by Troy Perlowitz, who was acquired in a trade with the Vancouver Canucks in August 2024, was the only forward to play in all 82 regular season games and 22 playoff games for the Oilers last year. He had 24 points, all at even strength, while playing in a mostly bottom six role in Edmonton's high-scoring offense. He could reach another gear this season after Edmonton revamped its forward group, including the departures of Evander Kane, Connor Brown, Corey Perry, Victor Arvidsson, and Jeff Skinner. Per NHL Edge stats, Podkolzin ranked amongst the leaders at his position in 20-plus mile-per-hour speed bursts. He had 187, which is in the 93rd percentile, top 7% of NHL forwards. Top shot speed at 92.18 miles per hour, which was in the 88th percentile, and top skating speed at 22.99 miles per hour in the 84th percentile. The 24-year-old could thrive offensively with more ice time alongside the Oilers' elite talent. Man, I didn't even realize that Podkolzin would be that much of an NHL Edge analytical darling. But honestly, it makes sense. You know, we talk about Marco Kasper having that dog in him. Vasili Podkolzin has had that dog in him for years. This is a guy who didn't just kind of evolve into being that type of a player. He was always that kind of a player. In Russia and as a draft eligible, it's why the Vancouver Canucks took him in the 10th overall spot back in 2019 in the draft that was in Vancouver. Inevitably, Podkolzin had himself a decent showing with the Vancouver Canucks. He ended up playing the majority of the season in Abbotsford in 23-24. He didn't mesh with Rick system. When Podkolzin did play NHL games, the guy was tentative and very, very cautious. He did not look super confident when it came to the way he played himself with Tocchet as the head coach. He was a lot more effective in Abbotsford, but even to be frank, I think you would expect a little bit more production out of a guy who had already scored so many NHL points with the AHL club at that time frame. The Canucks then traded Podkolzin away for a 4th-round pick. He went over to Edmonton, and then he scored the last goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, getting 10 points in 22 games as a whole. That's really good for Vasili Podkolzin, whom I didn't really expect that kind of an offensive push from with the Edmonton Oilers, but if he is able to expand upon that and keep this going, there is no reason why Pods cannot be a super valuable addition to the Edmonton Oilers long term. Can he be with the Oilers what he should have been with the Canucks? Only time will tell. With all that said, though, let's go back over onto the Detroit Red Wings side of things because NHL Fantasy Edge did go out there and tweet this out as well when they were talking about Detroit. It talks about John Gibson, the new goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings, and asks if you like the over or under for him with his new squad. NHL Fantasy's projected 25-26 win total for John Gibson is 25 wins. Will he go over or under? For reference, these are the last 3 seasons worth of wins that Gibson has had. He had 14 wins in 22-23, 13 wins in 23-24, and 11 wins in 24-25. Might I remind you, John Gibson was playing in a system that was no longer his crease to lose. He ended up losing the crease because he was injured so much recently, and Lucas Dostal came out there and started showing very well. Not to mention the fact that Gibson and his numbers were just generally not great in this season. He also was playing on a bad Anaheim team, so you could definitely toss that in there too. There was a time, years ago, where Gibson was a 920-plus goaltender. He was so good to kick off his NHL career, getting the very first win of his NHL career against the Vancouver Canucks. .954 save percentage in 3 games in 2013-14. That was a decade ago. Man. But it's all going to boil down to opportunity. If he stays healthy, if he's able to get a consistent squad in front of him, if the Red Wings play to the best of their ability, I think an over 25 win season for Gibson is very, very realistic, but That's really just going to depend on the team in front of him and his health. But with that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Kasper and Podkolzin as breakout candidates? What are your thoughts on John Gibson and his ability to win this upcoming season in 25-26? Do you like the number 25? Do you think he goes over or under? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.